Hello, my sweet love. Are you sunbathing in here? Hi, you're such a sweet cat. Alright, let's see if we can turn on this overhead light here because I'm glowing pink. That's also no more flattering. How is it the end of January? It has been, oh my god, it has been a month. January, I thought for sure January was going to be like nice and quiet and calm, and I could get caught up on some projects and, you know, start some seeds and just kind of like ease through winter, not overschedule myself. WTF January. So I have my little grow up going over here. I have Lizanthus and my eucalyptus started, and the eucalyptus is actually already sprouted, which is very exciting. Makes me feel like I'm doing something right, but I am due. I was looking at my calendar and I got some things to be doing and sowing again. So today I am going to be getting a bunch of winter sowing stuff out. So usually I do all of my native seeds. I'll do winter sowing, but I'm also going to be doing Delphinium and larkspur. I'm going to be doing it 2 ways. So some of them I'm going to do a forced cold moist stratification in the fridge and then plant them up inside. And the other half I'm going to be doing in winter sowing outside in the garden, and see kind of which method works a little bit better. I may hang on to a few seeds and just direct sow them a little bit later on as well. But that is what I'm doing today, so I thought I would take you along with me. So this is my seed collecting organizational structure after seeing how Blossom and Branch did hers with timing rather than categories. I love it, and it really helps, assuming that I actually fill them all up properly, not missing any to-dos. It makes sure that I actually get everything done and in the right timing, and not all of a sudden like 3 months later being like, oh crap, well I was supposed to start those and I didn't. So I think, oh, those are all the sweeties. I think they're all in that box there. But I'm gonna haul my bins upstairs and get them started and show you what I'm up to. So the focus today is going to be delphiniums and foxgloves. They both like a cold start, so I tried doing them last year and failed. So I did a little bit of research, and apparently the delphinium cross belladonna, that strain of delphiniums, is easier to work with, has better germination rates, and is a little bit more forgiving. I can appreciate that. So I ended up sourcing the Clarington Beauty and then the belladonna mix for delphiniums that I'm going to try this year. I also got the Magic Mountains Cherry Blossom, which is not a belladonna cross, but it was really pretty. So I figured we would give it a go. And then some foxgloves. West Coast seeds, I don't normally have the best germination rate, but every single year they sucker me in the garden centers. I go in for something else and I see their seed packets and I'm like, yeah, that's coming home with me. So it has approximately 2,100 seeds in it. So I figure let's do this. Let's give it a go. I have a peach Dalmatian foxglove in my garden that I picked up as a perennial just to try it, see it. I loved it, so I collected some of the seeds. I tried direct sowing those, absolutely no luck. So I've collected a few more seeds and I'm gonna have to dig those out and add them to this mix as well. And we'll try it. So this year I'm going to do some cold moist stratification in the fridge and then sow them indoors under the grow lights, and the other half I'm going to be doing in winter sown jugs the same way that I would be doing to any of my native seeds. So that is what we're doing today, but I just want to quickly spin you around and show you my seed starting schedule because I'm very proud of it and I want to show it. So this is she. Last year I also had an Excel spreadsheet, and I found that it was a lot of information that I had collected on it and it didn't end up being very helpful. So I ended up mostly just working off of good old pen and paper. And so I knew that this year it could be better. And one of the big things that I had switched up about it was these kind of drop-down menus that would pre-calculate the different dates for me. So I knew what my last frost day was and then when I wanted to be planting it out. So if it was 4 weeks before last frost or 6 weeks before last frost, and then that will translate directly into a date so that if I want to know what that date on the calendar actually looks like, it's there. And then that will also help me with my sowing date. So when I know that something needs to be, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks before I'm planting it, I just pick that again from the drop down menu. And then it will automatically populate that out for me with a date, but then it also gives me the week number of the year so that I don't get too hung up on this date. So for instance, my foxgloves and delphiniums, I have on here that they should have been going in January 13th and today is January 20th. Nothing went to plan, and it's okay because there's wiggle room with these things. So it just keeps me from getting hung up on that, and instead I can look at this, and so I don't feel like I'm that many days behind. So this is kind of like a balm for me. I absolutely love this. It's been working really, really well for me. It's got all sorts of crazy formulas and stuff in there, but I made it happen, and it has made things so much easier so far with Headspace, which is the best part.
I'm starting with the seeds that I will be starting indoors under grow lights. I'm beginning with the very important task of labeling. I'm usually the worst at this. I assume I will remember, and I don't. So this year I'm trying to be extra diligent with all of my labeling efforts. Then I'm just eyeballing half of the seeds and placing them evenly across a damp paper towel before folding them up and popping them into a Ziploc bag. From here, they'll sit in the fridge to get their chill time before I sow them. And when I sow them, I'm just going to put them into a cell tray and put them under the grow lights like I would any other seeds.
Look at this big baby. Oh, he's so big as smooches, baby. I'm telling you, the organizational prowess that I entail it's unparalleled.
For winter sowing, I'm reusing jugs from prior years. I know that people can be really strict with sterile, clean tools, but frankly, these are going outside into the real world and they are not existing in a lab. If they can't handle the bacteria, molds, pathogens, or just old dirt and maybe some dried out bug shells that might be present from that environment, then I probably don't want them growing in my garden. I don't bother with scrubbing up my jugs year over year, and it hasn't been a problem for the last 5 years. I have pre-moistened my potting soil so that there is no floating or shifting or hydrophobic behavior, and I'm adding a few inches into each jug. I then sprinkle on the seeds, and I sow pretty densely with my winter sowing and then break them apart later when planting. After I've sown them, I just give them a little press down into the soil. I'm not really being bothered with covering up the seeds with additional soil. I'm just giving them a little pack down again so there's no floating and shifting. Nature doesn't do perfect on-grid sowing, so I don't fret over it either, and I'm doing somewhere around 20 to 30 seeds in each jug. I then duct tape them shut, label them, and they are ready to go outside. If you're doing a new jug, one thing to keep in mind is that you have drainage holes in the bottom of it and you remove the lid from the top of the jug so that nature can continue to water it.
And I guess that is that little task out of the way. So the ones that I put into the fridge, I'll give them a few weeks in there, pot them up under the grow lights, probably early February. And that way they've had a little bit of chill time before going direct to the warmth, and that will hopefully help kickstart the germination growth in there. And the rest will just sit outside. Like you saw, I put them out in the yard and they're just gonna stay there until the spring. The area that I put them in is also the area I'm going to plant them in. We call it the airlock, and it's the area that the kids and the dogs don't have access to. It's usually a fairly kid-free, animal-free zone for me, so I feel confident in planting these in that area considering the toxicity of all of them. Always good to be on the safe side. I still have a whole bunch of things left to be sowing before it really gets into your typical seed starting schedule. I have some annual bellflowers that are going to be coming up, some pansies, lots of sweet peas, snapdragons, stalk, the list goes on. So it's still going to be a very, very busy seed starting schedule throughout February, and then in March, April, it really ramps up. The grow room is going to become a very high traffic zone, and there's going to be a lot happening in there. And then I also begin to utilize my garage outside as well, because it has a nice south-facing window. So for some of the cool lovers, they move in there and it serves as a little greenhouse. If you have any tips on delphiniums, foxgloves, any of the like, I am all ears. Please feel free to share your wisdom with me, because there is always room to be learning and growing. I'm so far just a fail in this category and am still trying to crack the code. And every year I manage to crack the code on at least one new plant. So maybe this year it will be these guys. Maybe not. Maybe I'll be trying again next year and still no further ahead. But either way, if you enjoy and you want to know more about Southern Ontario gardening, then make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video.